streaking with their AoE stuns. So Slark doesn't have the most potential to play around here. He has to be a little bit cautious when he makes his approach. But if he gets some good farm, he's still going to be able to essentially use the Alchemist as a sponge for soaking up stats. He's going to be able to get a lot of good free hits on him and still have some good gank presence here. So overall, it's not like... I don't look at that pick and be like, oh, they value a good hero that only a couple of members of Geek fam are going to be able to punish here. So early smoke TP play, Raven scouting out some ward action here, but although I haven't seen Raven play Slark very recently, I think that he has shown that he can play the hero really well at certain times, and he just really has to be wary of whether or not he needs to go for a BKB. If he goes like BKB third item, I actually think that they can take almost any fight. But you have to be a little bit worried about like if he gets caught out too many times by those AoEs.
All right, well, we're ready into the game. You can see a little bit of the good luck, have fun, boys, and the GLHF coming out from Teehee. I don't know if there's a ton of bad blood there necessarily between the two teams. There was obviously Teehee getting kicked out and then replaced by Cuckoo in that team. So there's something going on there. But by and large, it'll be an interesting matchup. Also worth noting, Teehee tends to be a player that will get like super aggressive in the laning stage and dive for a kill. Kind of an awkward role for him then to be playing the Alchemist. Not necessarily what I would have expected.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to play it differently. Like any hero, you're going to adapt the playstyle a little bit, but he has to kind of rein it in here as for at least the first, for the laning stage. There's no reason to be over-aggressive here. He's just going to be trying to trade. If you're trading evenly as Alchemist, you're winning because of Grievel's Greed.
Right.
So you really just want to kind of play your own game, focus on the selfish progression, and of course just, yeah, try to build yourself up very, very quickly. As far as later item builds, I mean, you know, traditionally you'll see the Radiance, Manta, Octarine type stuff, but I mean, I could see the Aghanim Scepter coming out as like a third or fourth item being pretty effective for certain members of your team. Disruptor, probably one of the better Aghanims if you're worried about a BKB Slark.
They're all great, honestly.
So yeah, all of them are. And I think Centaur will probably just buy his own because of the timing factors. But yeah, I think all 5 heroes, well, four of the heroes, and Alchemist, can benefit quite a bit from those Aghanim effects.
Something to watch out for as well a little bit later on is what the item build ends up being for the Invoker early on. Velo may be in a little bit of trouble here, although they only took Essence Shift for Slark, so there's no pounce to keep them in place.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still going to give a lot of free.
Oh my god, First Blood and a Nectar one coming in. They're getting really aggro down here in the lane. That's the Brewmaster, though, for the Disruptor.
Yeah, but the key thing there is obviously the First Blood factor. The fact that the Disruptor falls first, even though Sam H is slightly more valuable, that doesn't really matter here at level 1. Right. So both quick respawns, both about equal in value net worth, but yeah, it's just going to be the quick exchange and the Disruptor extending himself a little bit too far forward.
Oh, the mid lane is probably going to be a farm fest, as you mentioned. There's going to need to keep our eyes on if like Invoker goes back for a Bassi or something to help deal with the acid spray that continues to get spammed down. But do you imagine there's kill potential up in this top lane where Velo could get caught out by the pounce from Slark eventually?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something you always have to be aware of. I've actually seen kills where a Slark is kind of surprised by the double-edge damage. For Rodkey, going to take a lot of damage from the Illuminate, but shouldn't go down necessarily.
Maybe, possibly. Looking for the kill on a Predator. They aren't able to find the kill on the Brew. That value evasion, I think he ended up missing one of the hits, and well, they make it work.
Yeah, you always miss one because of Brawler, just how it automatically gives you that freebie, and then maybe you get a 10% on the other ones. But the big thing here, yeah, movement speed. You got the boots on the Sand King, but Cuddle has them as well. I checked his inventory and realized, yep, no, that's a guaranteed kill. And Rodkey kind of just has to be a lot more careful when the Illuminate is charging, because this is going to be a very aggressive Cuddle build. He doesn't have to pump a ton into Chakra Magic here because he's got the Crystal Maiden on his team.
That's pretty neat. Yeah, and I think that that's something too, like part of the reason why this hero is just so popular. He goes in, he gets both of the bounty runes, he can run around, just poke people in the head and throw out the Illuminates. He's so hard to deal with that high movement speed and just massive nuke damage.
And of course you're going to see the cooldown reduction come into play on the Thunderclap here, but it's actually going to be him caught out right now, and all the evasion in the world, he's still going to be taking a lot of damage. He has the TP on hand though, and pretty much puts the timeline on the kill, so he's able to sneak himself away, and Cuddle's a good hero to soak up the lane for a bit.
Definitely. So already across the board, you've got the safe lanes relatively even in farm, maybe Juggernaut a tad behind. Mid lane is very even as well, although Invoker does have 8 denies to the 1 of the Alk. And then both off lanes.
They're going for it up top. Velo will get caught by the pounce at least, but we'll see the Frostbite follow-up. And it's just going to be, again, more stats stolen. But the Sunstrike might change the equation.
Dodge, but, well, he still ends up going down. He's running in circles there for a little while. He wanted to dodge the Sunstrike, didn't end up mattering.
It's one thing to juke the Sunstrike, but if you put yourself where you're taking that long of a route away, where you're just extended your travel time by that many more seconds, it's actually going to be just still guaranteeing the kill for them. So.
Takes a ton of damage.
Yeah, sometimes it's not always the best play to go for like the hardest juke or the most guaranteed escape, because you're just giving more damage time for your opponents. But Onyx actually had a healing salve canceled on bottom and hasn't skilled up healing ward yet. So it's actually going to be a great time for TNC to get aggressive bottom. Yeah,
that was a brilliant play. Just a quick illuminate before he could get anything off. Might have been able to Blade Fury away from it, but didn't respond in time. Boy. And now some more damage now onto Crimson, but...
And this trial lane's not working out the way they want it to. And actually, he's not being able to into illuminate necessarily. Crimson will get clipped by it, but Sam H is actually going to be the one going down. Oh my gosh, he survives.
They have the
Tango regen.
Yeah, they got him.
That's still a trade. Like, this 2v3 laning setup is actually making it so that the Juggernaut cannot farm nearly as freely as he'd like to. Actually, you see him walking back to base, so he's going to start losing the CS game really hard over the next minute. And then, of course, we're seeing the kill advantage for TNC here. So across the board, yeah, you have seen Sam H go down a couple times, but they've accomplished what they wanted to bottom.
Oh. Well played across the way there. I'm still kind of curious as to what it's going to look like in the next couple of minutes as you get more levels on these heroes. Brewmaster will be getting his level 6 most likely before the other ones come on. Although actually Roger's getting up to level 4 himself. And looks like they're even thinking about getting aggressive again onto Sam H. So it'd be a tough kill.
Yeah, higher levels and glimpse will enable you to really find that opening a lot better, but you don't have the kinetic. I was going to go 1-1-1, and that should be enough.
All right, they're on top of him. Still has 4 stick charges. Doesn't end up using them.
Yeah, I mean, if he sticks, they just glimpse, and then he dies anyways, but it's all just kind of a trade-off where the Brewmaster can't really stay comfortably bottom. This goes back to a nerf, it feels like ages ago. It might have been like 8 or 9 months. Brewmaster used to be actually one of the most common offlaners, and then he lost 2 armor, went from 4 to 2, and his Thunderclap slow got reduced by like 25%, so, or at least in duration. So what that meant was that it was just harder for him to get away from tough spots like that. And the end result is now it's this Brewmaster who can't really stand on his own. He can be very involved and very aggressive, but he needs Tims to help him out.
And this was something that we also saw in a couple of the other big matches going on at LANs recently, was a lot of farming off to the side, but the Coddle didn't get as many stacks up as he might have wanted to catch up again for the Brew. Almost at level 6, gets a bounty rune as well. But, I don't know, it still feels like it's a bit tough. Do you think that like the Alchemist being able to get away with pretty much whatever he wants early is something that TNC need to be worried about at all?
To an extent. I definitely think that the fact that their nuke damage is a little bit limited, Sunstrike is like their most important spell against the Alchemist in terms of just bringing him down quickly, because you get like your level 2 Chemical Rage and your Armlet, and this hero becomes extremely tanky, extremely difficult to bring down, and of course he's just going to continue to farm faster than you. But they do have their own clock in mind. They already have a pretty good plan of action when the Slark gets his first key item. And they're actually going for a dive down bottom.
Oh my god, Sunstrike coming in a little bit off the mark. They do have the Illuminate though, and that's going to secure the kill. Unfortunately, this might end up being the death of the Brewmaster. Nonetheless, trying to TP out. Is it going to be enough? No! He falls. Mid lane, more damage being dealt out. But yeah, it's a tough little kill there, diving that deep for it.
Yeah, you have to commit hard for it. And obviously the Juggernaut didn't lose any farm time in that process, so actually don't think that kill and that exchange is nearly as favorable as the other ones. The one thing they are doing though is keeping the Sanking out of the jungle. Sanking gloves to just kind of go off to the side, do a little bit of Caustic Finale Sandstorm action, and you'll get like 9-minute Blink Daggers if you get to just kind of farm freely. But we do see that that's not the case here. Up top actually going to be Raven going pretty deep, but he needs the Steam to kind of secure a kill. So yeah, the Sand King is not doing as well as he would necessarily want to. The Juggernaut fell behind as mentioned earlier. So all in all, yeah, we have our 4th death for Sam H, but that's just how he plays. He just gets involved, and he is accomplishing things, even if it's not the most obvious.
And we've been seeing kind of greedy builds out of both of these lineups here. You see the Invoker in the mid lane not opting for any of the small items that you normally see in this matchup. Bassi or anything else, he's just getting straight for the Midas. You also have for the Teehee, I mean, he's going straight into the Iron Talon as well to try and farm out the jungle. Anything else that I saw? The return was not skilled at all up in the top lane for Velo. Maybe fine the out route, but it's feeling like everybody's just trying to gear up for that mid-game battle that we might end up seeing. And the Bruise Split committed here just to escape and survive.
Yeah, he's going to try to go a little bit more with it, but I mean, there's really only so much you can do here. In the end, I think that the mid-game team fight, obviously, it's key for both sides because the blink timing is critical on not just the Centaur and the Sand King, but also for the Brewmaster. The potential to push down towers, as we mentioned, is really strong for TNC's lineup if they're able to take a fight first. And the more map control you generate, the more Raven can play around with the Shadow Blade. So I do think that TNC have a lot of emphasis on this kind of first 20 minutes. Their draft doesn't have to win by any certain stage in the game, but they're going to feel so much more comfortable if they can start taking at least a few tier 1s by, let's say, the 15-20 minute mark.
So 9 minutes into it, you can see it's to the lead of TNC by almost 2,000 net worth and experience. They're going to wrap around now, try and find this kill onto Velo. Pops the ulti, and actually is going to be contained still. The Sunstrike a little bit off the mark, and well, they're able to turn it. The double edge onto the creep, huge play.
Yeah, that's so sick. Being able to get it just on a creep to the side there is exactly what they needed to do, enabling essentially the exact trade that you want. Getting the kill on the Slark there, it's nearly impossible, but double edge in that situation is so strong, and Slark doesn't have the best raw health pool. I mean, yeah, he's got shreds now, but he was running Agi on them, and he's just so confident that Shadow Dance gives you that invisibility, which equals invulnerability, but Burrow Strike and a double edge to an adjacent creep actually nails them to kill. It's so sick.
That's that. All right, if you guys are wanting to deal with Slark in your pubs, go pick Centaur and just do it every time. I mean,
go put enemy creeps right next to your Shadow Dance Slark at 100 HP.
There we go.
Plan that out. Put the chess pieces in play. You can be just like a pro.
You can do it. I believe.
Oh, actually, very nice blinding light. That's a freebie.
Now pushing back. There's a glimpse away, but it's not going to end up mounting to anything. They brought in 4 for this, and it should be a pretty easy tower. The recall, of course, making it all the easier for Cuckoo to get involved.
Yeah. Geek fam, they just want to take towers for the gold gain aspect of it. It's TNC that want to take towers for the map aspect of it. Raven has to know that he's being stalked, but doesn't get the Dark Pact out in time and is going to be caught out. So very nice early aggression against the Slark and delays that Shadow Blade quite a bit.
And Velo having himself a good old game. This is a guy who I think took a lot of criticism for his time when he's playing for MVP. He was like, basically, everybody said that he only played Timbersaw, but he's making it work for himself here. And maybe it's just a good matchup, but I don't know. I like it. I like what I'm seeing so far. As Predator, excuse me, SamH is going to find Teehee. All of these players, they got these little names on the side of them.
Yeah.
Sponsored by.
Yes. They got each other's back, bro. That's the important thing. Yeah, I think they're just really kind of showcasing very effectively how vulnerable a hero like Slark can be. Like, this guy has right now 880 health. He self-impacts himself with Dark Pact very frequently, so... And most importantly, I think it's just the mentality of a Slark player where, oh, I can always heal up, I can always escape. I'm this slippery little devil. So what it means to them is that they'll play at lower HP values. They'll sit at 50% and be like, yeah, I can grab another creep wave.
Right.
And Centaur's a hero that can punish that very nicely. Now with a Blink Dagger, now with the smoke, I actually think the Geek fam are going to start running through this early game.
Yeah, and it's maybe speaks to what you're talking about earlier, that Raven maybe not the most familiar on this hero either, or rather the most practice on it right now as opposed to familiar, and running into some issues. They're going to smoke and try and find a kill. Blink Dagger, be able to get on top of this Brewmaster. SamH, reveal him, jump, crush.
Oh, very close.
Doesn't quite get it off, and they stack it beautifully. They get the kill.
Very nice pick up there on the Brewmaster. Those cast animations could be the death of you, quite literally, and that is actually going to be another solid pickup. I mean, that's what, 5 deaths now? I mean, some people will just be blaming him, but I mean, he's put himself in that situation deliberately. He's put himself out there because he realizes that if he can put enough pressure in the bottom lane, it should theoretically create space for Raven, and he should be able to get his key items like the Shadow Blade online sooner. But it turns out that Geek fam are able to have their cake and eat it too. They're able to not only nom on the feed train that is this Brewmaster, but they're also able to get a number of key kills on the Slark.
Wow. Nicely played indeed by Geek Fam. And again, it speaks, like a lot of people going into this qualifier would say it's going to be easy. It's TNC. It's FACELESS. No matter what, they're going to make it through. But it's really showing to not be the case that SEA region is deep, and particularly Geek Fam, they know TNC well, Teehee being a former player and all of them know each other well. There's a lot on the line for these guys, and I think that they have a good chance at running. Finding a win over TNC, that puts you in a great position going into the rest of the groups.
Absolutely. It's a full round robin, so everybody's playing 9 games here, so any win is great, but obviously getting one on one of the higher seeded teams is going to be pretty critical. Yeah, that being said, like, I really do feel like the region is just so volatile right now. FACELESS is the only clear front runner. TNC obviously will be most people's seconds, but even that is non-convincingly. They've lost a lot of key matchups against SCA teams in the past, and there are a lot of teams that are getting more and more familiar with their playstyle.
So Blink now back in towards the hood and possibly pipe, while Teehee has continued to farm and is looking to get himself a pretty decently timed Radiant. I mean, it's Armlet and an Iron Talon with Soul Ring, and it's maybe a little bit on the later side, would you say?
As far as the timing goes, I mean, it's good enough, I think. Okay. We're going to see a attempted TP out of here. Should be enough for the Juggernaut. And, yeah, I mean, an Alchemist would love to be always sitting at like 800 GPM and just cruising along, but I think it's a fine enough timing. Like, okay. It could be better for sure if there were a lot more stacks, but you have to realize that in 7.0, it's a lot harder for supports to be consistently stacking the Western camps for the Alchemist, and so he's just kind of doing the best that he can. I think in general, Alchemist GPMs are not what they used to be because of those changes in the build.
Wow, the whole combo committed. Whole kit and caboodle takes down Cuckoo, and the TP away as well by, man, Teehee wanted really close to the deck. The Armlet toggles while TPing out. Really nicely played as well.
Yeah, it's so sick that you can actually use that item while TPing. It actually works out very well for him. So he's going to be able to still continue to progress towards the Radiance, and this is what I'm looking to see. Rodgi gets himself a 15-minute Blink Dagger without taking away from the jungle. He's been active on the lane, he's been involved in killing the Brewmaster, and now he's ready to roll with some really good Blink Burrows. They can set up so many great fights with this Epicenter.
And like you're talking about, this is that timing that TNC needs to be wary of when all of these abilities come online. And honestly, even into the late game, you take a look at what an Alchemist is going to be able to bring. It's not looking a whole lot better for them either. What's the play now if you're TNC? Is it just like try and hold off as long as possible with Coddle continuing to spam out lanes and split push?
I feel like they have a few different options ahead of them. I mean, they wanted to be in a better position. They wanted to have taken at least 2 tier 1s at this point in time before these blinks and this initiation potential came out for Geek Fam. But now that they're in this current state, they could either play it back a lot, say, hey, we have a Midas, so it can be really scary with a couple more items, especially that BKB. I'll keep talking about it because I think it's actually extremely important in this game. But they also want to be rolling with their cooldowns. The Brewmaster split is a pretty long CD at 140. And I feel like they can do so much work if they get the right initiation with this brew. So we'll keep an eye on them. They're at least smoking up to try to contest an area where the Alchemist is most likely to be farming. But Geek Fam are ready as well, and we might just see them cross paths immediately.
Oh my god, if they could find Sionix at the start of this, it would be a huge pick-off, taking away all of that damage. But they also just finished off the Radiance on the Alchemist. He is there with it in hand. They're going on top of Sionix, the Shadow Blade for the initiation, if they wanted to go for it.
They can't do this. He's got the spin.
Oh, the spin immediately out of there. Now they're in trouble. They have the Stampede if they wanted to go for it. Could cancel the TV. Sionix actually TP's out. And now a little bit of a rough display, but it doesn't matter. The Radiance is there. All of the right click is coming in. And they get the Omni Slash as well onto Tim's. Well, the Glimpse pulling him back in. Yeah. That is Meteor, which is pretty decent. It doesn't look like it's going to matter. And they have the dust. They have everything. And in spite of the Juggernaut TPing away...
So he actually TP'd to tier 1,
okay.
So he didn't go very far at all. He did kind of pull himself back about a Blink Dagger's width away, but it didn't take him out of the fight, and that's the important thing. So he just wanted to make sure that this was the bait. So
right.
Spin TP away, they just put some hits on you. That's what happens to Dota all the time. So he really did coax them into a false sense of security where they could counterplay against him. It was really smart, and yeah, he didn't cancel it, but he still got into the fight. What was kind of unfortunate is the Blinding Light hitting him right before he Omni Slash. So the Omni Slash didn't do nearly as much damage as it could have with those hits in between very frequently missing. So they had to pursue for a longer period of time, and that gave Slark time to at least find himself a little pick off on the sideline. But all in all, still a great bait from Geek Fam, very good smoke movement, and gives them a significant edge here in the early game.
And that was, in a lot of ways, that big moment that you were talking about. Granted, they didn't get the Brewmaster ulti on. Everybody just kind of hit the runaway button once they realized that the fight was not going the way they wanted it to. So they still can maybe go for another aggressive play here, although it does look like Radiant have eyes on all of this, and Teehee should just be backing off as he knows that there are all of these heroes up on the high ground. Yeah, and they're just going to get out of there.
There's just so much counterplay. When you have this much in terms of like Blink Daggers and Glimp, you really can't bump up as TNC. Like, you want the Brewmaster and the Slark to be on the same target. You want to have all your range heroes in range, but this sets up like this concave that can be very heavily punished by just a couple of good AoE blinks. So I'm expecting some great opportunities for Velo and Rodgi very soon, and it almost forces TNC to play more of a pick-off style. Like, their 5-man should be strong with heroes like Coddle and Brewmaster and Invoker. But right now, I feel like Geek Fam have proven 2 or 3 times now that they've just got the strong upper hand when it comes to air fights. And TNC are going to have to kind of play it back and focus more on the pick-offs and the farming.
Well, if we do end up getting into a later stage, though, we talked about this in the last game a little bit, it does feel like you maybe turn around a couple of fights with an Invoker, ulti. Oh wait, we don't need to hold that thought because they're going in. A big old initiation. They're on top of the Disruptor. He already got the ulti off, but it's not onto anybody. And now Raven trying to chase, trying to find that kill. Can't quite get on top of him. Crimson creating a ton of space right now, and the Omni Slash has already taken down the CM. Looking for more. Oh, TNC, they are crumbling here. They take down the Invoker as well. They've only been able to take down the Brew. And it's going to break the TP as well. They know it's there. They're on top of him. They're all over him. And another kill going the way of Geek Fam. They are not going to be denied.
Yeah, and that's with a critical whiff on the kinetic static combo from Disruptor. He had it on the Slark, but he's just fast enough the Slark is able to slip through it. And the end result is still massive for Geek Fam. Counter initiation is the name of the game for them. They're able to allow TNC to make the first move and then just punish it because these heroes are so good at it. I mean, Sand King and Centaur, for just over and over, if you can't guarantee lockdown on a certain hero and just kill them quickly enough, it's going to be Geek Fam to run over every fight.
And now you have that situation where Slark is going back for a BKB here, but it's going to be so much less potent than it might have been had he been able to snowball into a couple of kills. Because, I mean, thinking about it, he can probably kill off the Disruptor solo if he's completely alone, but honestly, I'm not sure if it's true anymore. Like, they've been able to build into an urn for him a little bit of that extra survivability. All of these heroes are so tanky. It's feeling tough. It's feeling really, really tough.
I mean, if Raven knows that he's completely alone and doesn't have to play scared, he can still always solo pick off a support, but, you know, that means Disruptor has more time to build up a Glimmer or a Ghost. Either one will allow him to stay alive. And I think just more importantly, like, if the BKB was finished now, he'd be so much scarier than in a few more minutes when we see just Geek Fam get all these superior item pickups. I mean, the Aghanim Scepter is going to be up for Centaur pretty soon, and that's going to make it hard for the picks to come through. I mean, you just get a global 60% mitigation at any point you want. Devastating.
Yeah, definitely. And now moving into Roshan as well. Alchemist is very much the leader in net worth, and you can see that across the board it's a very significant lead for them. I will mention that we have the Aghanim Scepter done for the Coddle, and they've been able to shut down the Vision at least a little bit on the side of Geek Fam, although still a couple wards in mid that are freshly placed. Those will hopefully go down around the next daytime cycle.
Yeah, Tim's is really like the shining hope for the team just because he's actually gotten the most out of the map in general. Like, you look at kills, he's leading 4-1 and 3. Net worth, he's third position, 2,300 ahead of his off-laning core, the Brewmaster. Yeah. So yeah, he's been playing farm mode, and he's just been happily building himself up. Got the gem, the Aghanim Scepter, and is rapidly approaching Blink Dagger. I think they have to play around the daytime factor. I mean, yeah, nighttime gives Slark the 1800 vision, but the Coddle vision of 1800 clear is going to be still superior. So they definitely want to play around the daytime, nighttime component, and they just have to stop Geek Fam from getting the opportunity to spread the map so much.
Cuckoo here also going to, I'm assuming, be trying to cut the creep wave. He might actually get a courier kill. What?
Yeah.
All right.
Freebie.
Why not? Let's do it. Courier goes down and trying to TP out. Is he going to be able to get out of there? Yeah, it looks like it does happen. Courier was the Manta-style recipe as well.
Yeah, for the Alchemist, so that's much more important. If it's just like the Juggernaut, it's like, okay, that's a slight difference, but for the Alchemist, he could definitely spread his Radiance very effectively with it, and you have to be concerned. So, No, in this position, it does look like it is going to be Geek kind of having to hold back a little bit, losing on that item pickup, and we're going to be seeing Psionics try to spin away. Didn't TP immediately for some reason, and just relying on the Stampede to try to get him out.
This is a very awkward situation now. Lifted up, they're trying to get in here to turn the fight, but the CM ulti is already out, and TNC, they're actually going to be able to turn this completely around. They get the Deafening Blast in the midst of the stun, but there's the epicenter to turn it. They're on top of him. So much damage. Raven thinking about going back in. Alacrity wears off, but Crimson is going to fall from that one. 3 are dead for TNC, but they burn through the Aegis, and they managed to take down the Alk on top of it.
Yeah, still a good 400 gold bounty there, and Raven gets to pounce and walk away. So, all in all, not too bad for TNC. I expected that just to be a simple spin TP away. One weakness of TNC's draft is no blocking bar piercing disables, or in this case, blade piercing disables. So, kind of easy for him to just disengage, but he's like, okay, I've got Stampede, I've got Aegis, my teammates are coming, and there's just a shot call that they said, let's take this fight. Turns out to be probably one of the worst fights they've taken this entire game, but considering they're still very far ahead, I don't think it's going to be too concerning for them. They just need to make clear decisions that when TNC are fully committed, they maybe just go for the easy out.
Yeah, and they did end up picking up the gem from the Coddle, so that makes a pretty big difference, at least as far as, you know, something that's helping out Geek Fam here, but I don't know if it's worth it giving away that amount of gold over to TNC as well.
I didn't actually notice that they got the gem out of it, but I would say actually that's pretty immense because obviously the Aghanim Scepter, one of the best aspects of it, yeah, there's a nice heal. Yeah, you can always tap into your ultimate abilities, but I actually really like the clear vision. I think it's one of the stronger aspects of the Aghanim Scepter effect, and combining that with gem, just it's not even multiplying, it's like exponentially increasing the value because you just take vision away from your opposition. So the gem trade over not only being like an 1800 net worth swing theoretically, but also being the fact that Tims cannot take control of the map in terms of hordes and vision. I actually think that even losing the Aegis, even losing a bit of momentum, even losing a couple of kills, I still think that because they can't buy another gem for so long, that Geek Fam are pretty happy with the consequence.
Cuckoo again to be bullied in this one. They're all over him. They find the kill. And those types of pickoffs maybe doesn't end up happening if you... Well, no, it still probably would have happened in that instance. I don't think that having a gem on Coddle down here would have made a difference.
Yeah, not too much.
But he is pushing, taking down the tower, doing a good bit of damage after that rotation. And
Radiant structures.
I don't know, do you think that we're going to end up seeing the Brewmaster Alacrity shenanigans at all this game? Is that something that maybe could pull him back into it with some split pushing there?
I think that's a mechanic that works really well when you're ahead. We're going to see a jump of TP here. Should be a kill.
All right. Does that a Manta dodge of the Illuminated? He'd take the damage from that. Well, it looks like they're actually going to have to run away now. Stun coming out there. Hits onto Raven. Dark packs it off. Lift up onto the Jug. And it looks like the rest of the side of TNC is going to need to run away. Probably going to end up losing this Brewmaster as well. They're chasing down the Earth Panda. Tries to blink out. He will be able to escape.
He's fine, but Raven has the Shadow Blade away. The gem, it still keeps vision. They get the glimpse back.
He's in trouble. Jumps and pounces the other direction. All right. Stun. Oh! That was so close.
You can't wait for the blink. You just have to go into the trees. But does not get the burrow strike that they really wanted there. Nevertheless, you see how difficult it is going to be for them to kill the Alchemist from this point forward. It's not just the armor value, chemical rage heal, and the armlet factor. That's just the Aghanim Centaur. Stampedes it. Gives them all this mitigation, and you just can't nuke them down. Suddenly, like, anytime you're trying to dive somebody, anytime you're trying to pick somebody off, you have to second guess how tanky they are because of the Stampede. And then the reinforcements come, and you're screwed. It's just a very difficult position for TNC to play around.
You know, Cuckoo, he's still been able to get himself a decent chunk of farm as well. We can talk a little bit about the Invoker. He's been hunted. 1, 5, and 3 is not great. But more often than not, I feel like it's just because we've been seeing Geek Fam so heavily prioritize shutting him down. But he has the Aghanims now, as well as the Midas, Blink, a little bit of mobility, and he's also almost got maxed out Wex. How important is he going to be in these fights? Does he always just have to wait for sort of the initiation to come first from the rest of his team and then follow up with the damage?
I mean, he's gotten some decent meteors out in the fight. He actually might be top hero damage for his team for this game so far, just because the Exort puts out so much potential impact. He's gotten some decent stun strikes, a lot of good meteors. The problem is, like, they're not initiating well enough. They're being initiated upon and the Brewmaster just doesn't provide the lockdown that they need. So as the game goes on, he's going to be looking for more opportunities on non-Juggernaut targets because of the spin. He's actually just going to be going on the Juggernaut, trying to TP out, but does Rodkey get it this time? Again, same spot and same lack of burrow strike into the trees. Just go for it, man. Go for it.
Make it happen.
Do it. Make your dreams come true.
Oh my goodness.
All right, mid lane.
That's the dream. They have been able to catch here on the Sionix. Not quite going to be able to run him down yet. And the stun is going to hit the Alchemist as well. Yeah, you got to go for that burrow strike. There's no ways about it.
There's so many Sand King players crying at the opportunity loss. I mean, it's like, nobody blames you for missing the burrow strike. It's blind, it's in the trees.
Yeah.
Just try. It's worth 140 mana. But we'll see Stampede forward. Actually, when we Slark in a bit of a rough spot, no BKB, and he gets glimpsed back into the Static Storm. And that should be his death.
Taking him down. Teehee on the other side is able to kill off Rior, so that is 2 dead. And showing off.
Top lane.
Are they
There's the Alacrity.
Oh my god.
The glyph originally. That's a pretty decent counterplay, but Alacrity lasts so long
Oh my god.
that it doesn't matter.
They're actually doing it. They are actually making it happen. Oh my god, it's so frustrating to deal with here. I'm sure it does look like the Brew might end up dying from this, and yeah, it's gonna pop the BKB, go for the TP.
Right. They can do that all day.
They're
really
making it happen. The dream, it's real.
Like, I mean, this strat, the big thing is that it's like as strong as it needs to be, like at this stage in the game. Like, it can be empowered slightly by like getting level 18, getting Assault Cross, stuff like that. But by itself, it's already amazing because you just get the Max Wax Exhort Alacrity, and you've got a Brewmaster that fearlessly can always do this until they get like a Basher or an Abyssal on the Juggernaut. So there's really very little ways to punish it. As long as the creep wave is in that position and backdoor protection is down. That's the key thing, is they had the fight ongoing on the Dire side, and they were able to get the lane pushed out in the meantime.
Velo, I think if TNC realized what was actually going on with nobody else here, they are going to now end up going in on it. Ice Wall is down as well. They pop the Stampede. Mana Leak as well. He's trying to run up and away, and it's looking like he's going to be able to make that escape. But that's Stampede down now.
Yeah, I mean, that is a decent cooldown, 75 seconds in total, so it's going to allow them to at least be more confident in their next move, which might be here on the Juggernaut. Going to be, I mean, all of Geek fam have felt like, oh, I can farm anywhere I want because I have escape tools, and we'll see if they can kind of test those theories a little bit as Juggernaut just blinks out after the fact. Yep, still pretty much immortal.
Yeah, hard to deal with. So again, we talked a little bit about it, the way that this Alacrity Brewmaster ulti can work, and I think one of the biggest parts about it that's really cool is also being able to bring in the Kato to recall. You can send him into one of the lanes and then just have them recall either one or both, and then make that split push happen a little bit more effectively. Can it? Do you think it can out DPS backdoor protection?
I mean, it can, but it's only going to be worth that risk if the power's already very low. So,
okay.
Yeah, I definitely think it can out DPS backdoor protection, but you're only going to get so much damage out of it in the duration of an Alacrity. And then also, if the Fortified's up, going against backdoor protection is useless, because you pop the glyph, like the tower gets down to 1 HP, you hit the glyph and it just heals right back up to full.
Right.
So you have to be kind of very aware of the mechanics in this rat play, but
there are ways to make it work, though. You just have to play around it. Okay.
So, but I don't know how many times they can do that without Geek fam just being very aware of what the intentions are for TNC, and actually going to be CM down middle, down dead.
So what do you do against it then? That's the thing that I felt like about the strat when I first saw it was, okay, you understand that they're going to do it, but how do you stop it?
Faster Abyssal, I think, is the main thing here. I mean, you can get that on the Alchemist and on the Juggernaut. It's an old build for the Alchemist, but I think it's pretty worthwhile.
I'm almost there.
But yeah, I feel like eventually you're just going to be aware that you can just keep the creep waves pushed out, and if it's ever not pushed out, then you know exactly what they're going to be doing. Like, you just have to be kind of cognizant of it. It's like countering Nature's Prophet. You just have to be there, you have to be ready to fight.
Well, right now they're going for Roshan, and in the meantime, the bottom lane is being pressured in. They're TPing to the tower, and this is a pretty neat little move here because, well, he actually used his TP boots now. They're coming back to try and defend. Glyph is on cooldown as well. They pop the ulti. They're going for it. Alacrity on top of it. Tier 3 tower going down. They're bringing everybody back for this, but it doesn't matter. The tower is going to fall. Almost able to kill off that Earth Panda, but not quite yet. And it comes back in one, but yeah, it looks like he might end up being able to get away with this nonetheless. Can pop BKB and go for the TP out. tons of damage, but not able to find the kill.
Yeah, they just need bashers so bad. BKBs are completely nullifying their potential to counterplay against this, where it felt like TNC couldn't take a fight because they were so afraid of the Geek fam response. Now, because they have these BKBs, they're like, well, there is no response. There's nothing to worry about. And so they get a free tier 3 top, tier 3 bottom. Shrines are vulnerable. They're just feeling pretty confident. Now, we do have to note that in that process, Sionix was able to pick up the Aegis from Roshan, and that's all well and good, but I think TNC just continue to play this kind of rat game and drag this out. If they ever stray too far from base, if they ever let the creep wave break backdoor protection, the Brewmaster, the Invoker, they'll be there.
And that's the thing, is that it does feel like you've got the, you know, Octarine core, the Manta style on Teehee with the Radiance. This should be one of those games where it's not incredibly difficult to push out all the waves, but Coddle helping to enable all of this also. It's making it a little bit more difficult than it might otherwise be.
And they're already just in a great position here. I just want to see them to go here on the Coddle. Nice double force staff's going to be able to get him out. And now, especially Bello, who has no Stampede and really no answer.
Sionix on top of him. The CM ulti is over in the trees. It's not even that many. They go for a TP. All right, that was, I don't think, the play necessarily. Very awkward situation. On top of Velo, though, BKB Popper Slark trying to bring him down. Not quite there, and they also are on top of Cuckoo. Not able to get out with the Ghostwalk or anything else, and so they end up taking the Invoker down. Meanwhile, trying to chase now onto the Slark. It's not quite going to be there. It does get a little bit of the epicenter pulses off on him, while we do see the Brewmaster soon to fall as well, I believe. Well, they missed the Burrow Strike also, pulling him back in. He gets his ulti off now and should be able to run. All right, cue the Benny Hill music. This is silliness that we're seeing.
Yeah, but how lucky you really drag this thing out. We're going to see, they don't want to kill the Earth Panda, by the way. The Fire Panda will enable the escape, so they have to wait it out and they have to cancel the Blink Dagger. Acid Spray is not available, so they're just going to try to spin on top of it, and they will make sure he can't blink away. So it does extend the fight as long as they need it to, but in the end, still, you're going to continue to see these kill numbers rack up. Geek Fam will be winning in kills the rest of this game, but they actually still might lose because the objective is not kills. This is not deathmatch. This is Dota 2, and we're looking for the ancient to fall. So right now TNC are actually in an okay position in terms of structural damage. Just these fights they kind of have to stop the bleeding on.
And Rior is probably going to end up falling here as well. They get another one. The pings came out, by the way, for high ground. So Geek Fam, they've had enough of the tier 2 towers. They just want to go straight up for high ground. Secure maybe the shrine taking as well for themselves. Definitely blast a little bit off the mark there, but
they just still should be up for a couple more minutes here. So they definitely want to commit and at least use the Aegis to its full effect.
Raven cutting creep waves as well.
Yeah, the Coddle burns out all but the Siege Creep, and this hero's Siege Creep is going to have to do a lot. Nobody's here to dominate it or anything, so it looks like it is going to stick around and it is going to allow them to break through the barracks.
All right, there you go. Nicely played. Slark is going to push in bottom lane maybe. No, he's going to actually end up TPing back. They decide they have to fight. They don't have Brew. All of them. Omni Slash, the Static Storm, it's all going wrong. Raven barely gets his BKB off before he ends up getting dropped, and it does look like he might be able to keep them back, but can the Slark alone really hold this? I don't think so.
Nexus Arm coming out. They're not going to be able to finish off the melee racks, but they got the range, and they should be able to just get out. No, they're going in again.
Trying to take it. Never give up, never surrender. Meanwhile, Rior trying to find a kill. Sunstrike a little bit off the mark as the pushback came. That's the Aegis down. Velo now trying to take down Raven. It's not quite there. The Shrine's keeping them alive. They're really desperately fully committing for this barracks here, and it does look like they are going to get it.
Yeah, no Drunken Haze in place, so they don't have to worry about that anymore. They will be able to finish off the barracks and then TP back without losing anything. No Basher on the Slark. So, yeah, that's the deal is here is they can keep fighting on the Slark as much as they want to with all those shrines up. Luckily, he gets the BKB off in time. But when you lose a hero like Brewmaster that early in the fight, just Geek Fam can keep on engaging, especially with the Aegis.
Right. Well, and you saw that there was the pressure down there along the bottom lane where the barracks were starting to fall. I was wondering if maybe like we saw some TP boots down and then a Coddle recall after the fact, but didn't want to go for it, instead just making sure that they didn't lose more.
Well, the Coddle doesn't have the BOTs. He's the one that has to be there, right? So that's kind of the limiting factor. Is Coddle's the one who sets the position of the team, and Tim's did fall back. He was kind of down here, just broken a creep wave, and he decides, we need Illuminates, we need to defend. by making that call, they kind of eliminate all their offensive options.
Yeah, and they need Invoker to be there for actually throwing out the AoE damage, so he can't go down there necessarily either.
Yeah, it's a hard, like, it turns into a base race situation, and it just gets really awkward from there, so they wanted to try to do what they could to hold position, but Geek Fam once again proving they're really strong 5v5.
Oh, Sam H maybe in some trouble. They do have the Sunstrike down here to the south side, and Crimson ends up falling off the back of it. Nice little combination there. Secures them a kill, and now maybe it's TNC the ones to get aggressive.
They'll get to tier 2, but I don't think much more than that. What if they like do one lane with the Brewmaster Invoker while they're pressuring the other lane with the Slark and everybody else? I think this is pretty sick.
Yeah, and maybe that just, I mean, if you move the creep waves in towards mid, that can be the avenue to make it happen.
Yeah, looks like they're just going to take the tier 2 and fall back. But the big thing is these creep waves are pushed out, so if they can find an opportunity, they need to take it.
Yeah, and they can actually go in for the full ulti if they wanted to, and just drop an Alacrity, take the tier 3. I guess that they do have Glyph still up, so maybe it would have been nice to bait that out.
Yeah, just poking a prod, and they'll take the Shrine for free, and that's fine. They get a Disruptor pickoff, they turn it into 2 buildings. That's nice in general, and really good wards coming out as well. The gem is currently on the Sand King, so Rodgi could very well find either or both of those, but at least for right now, it's giving them intel of how they can move in the Radiant side.
Well, a smoke play, now movement from Geek Fam. They want to catch somebody out here, and Slark might be the one that breaks it. Although Coddle is over there as well. Velo looking for the opening. Force Blink, they're not going to get it.
Yeah, if TNC brings this back, it's not in a fair fight. They're picking up all these items that allow them to just kind of slip away after kind of going for these base trade situations, and you know, it's worked to some extent. But oh, actually gonna go through.
Oh my God, they got him. That's gonna be one down. Gem as well on the floor. They find the CM, so that's 2 out of there. Geek Fam, in spite of the shenanigans that were coming out, they're able to make it work. And now Invoker, he is set to push out these lanes to the best of his abilities, while the Brewmaster pushes bottom. He could bots for this.
Yeah, I mean, in 30 seconds, you got the Invoker that can jump bottom, so they're going to just try to get all the lanes shoved out at the same time so that Geek Fam can't punish the CM's death. Because otherwise, you know, that would be racks if they're not playing like this. So they have to kind of extend forward and just go as deep as possible, keep the creep waves going the way they want to, and even Brewmaster here is just going to be able to BKB TP himself out. Yeah.
Maybe there's a chance. By the way, Crimson here is, you know, keeping eyes on the area to get a long-range glimpse just in case Cuckoo overextends slightly, and might actually be able to do it. Nah, looks like he's not going to go for it yet. Invoker shows again. Find himself in range.
The big thing here, I would say, is Styonix has the Abyssal Blade, so as long as he's not showing, Brewmaster is no longer going to be confident and just going for these no-value trades where they get free structure damage and they don't lose a hero. These BKBs are no longer the free escape pools that they used to be. And, that's the most important progression for Radiant as a whole.
God, an Alchemist continuing to just be a monster. Let's have the Shivas, the Manta, BKB at this point. And, I mean, has he purchased any Aghanim Scepters yet? No, it doesn't.
Not yet, but like we said, there are so many really good Aghanims. Juggernaut Aghanims most people don't think of because the hero will never buy it in his own inventory. Right. But if he has 6 item slots, a Moonshot, and an Aghanim Scepter, he actually is easily in the top, like, 6 carries of the game. Yeah. Like, he can scale so hard when he gets that many bounces on Omni Slash and can get all that attack speed in between.
All right. They are going to be able to end up getting a short-range stun. Trying to burn through this. Bottom lane is still going to be pushing in here. You've got the Forged Spirits as well from the Invoker to keep the pressure on. So eventually Geek Fam are going to need to react to this. And it looks like they're actually going to TP the Invoker down towards bottom as well. So he can get recalled by Coddle still to be back in the fight. But this is going to be a nice little bit of pressure applied. And yeah, they force back 2 of Geek Fam, and that's going to stop the push in its tracks.
It's a game of cat and mouse here, but in between these 2 bases that they go back and forth on is going to be the Roshan spawning here in just a couple seconds. Connect Field does not see it, but when they obviously that is a free objective for Geek Fam. There's no way that TNC really can go in and just break that down without Geek Fam being completely aware of the situation.
Not sure why they pressed R there, but I'm sure it was something important.
It's always important to press R.
Well gotten.
It's a good ability. There's no time you don't want to be stampeding around, buffing and buffing. I guess Mufasa might have something to say about that. But
oh no, too soon. All right, Disruptor gets his Aghanim's ulti. He's gonna have it now, and With buyback status there, Invoker has it, Coddle has it, and Juggernaut has it. They're looking to take this fight. Oh my god, if they get caught by an Ag's ulti right here, this would be disastrous. And no, he's on top of the Disruptor. They managed to burn through him before he can get anything off, and now looking for more. The Burrow Strike only connects onto one, but they have been able to control the Brewmaster. For the moment, he doesn't get the ulti off. No buyback for him, so he can't get back into this fight, and, well, the Meatball dropped. It's not really doing a whole heck of a lot. They have been able to kill off Sionix, though. That's 1,000 gold to Tim's. Geek fam trying to find it. The Burrow Strike might be able to be enough. They're trying to kill him off. Doesn't look like Cuckoo's going to be able to escape, but Raven has just been a monster. 40 stacks right now of Essence Shift, and it's only going to keep going up.
Oh boy.
4 dead. And the Burrow looked good, but it was not enough at the end of the day.
It was at the exact same time that the Illuminate came through and healed up all of TNC in the process. So really good Burrow. Should have been what was needed to cinch the last couple of kills there, at least 2 out of the 3. But the Illuminate heal, and suddenly Geek fam actually lose the first fight in maybe the entire game.
Yeah. That is disastrous. And I mean, it's still a situation where they've got a 15,000 net worth, almost 10,000 experience, but now paving the way for Roshan. Like, this is not going to be hard for Raven to do. He's got 44 Agi from this. Oh, excuse me, 44 stacks.
Oh yeah.
So 132 Agi. Oh my god, I hate this hero so much, but he is terrifying.
Yeah, and I mean, the BKBs have been just the most critical thing for this game because there are so few spells that actually take effect on the side of Geek fam during the time that Invoker and Brewmaster and Slark are all BKB'd. And I think even Kristen Baden is picking up one shortly. She had one in quick 5, but no matter the case, with those 3 BKBs in play, almost all of Geek fam's spells are completely useless. Like Tanking, Disruptor, and everything but Stampede from the center are all completely useless. Okay, there's a movement speed flow on Epicenter, but come on.
Yeah, it's not necessarily what you're hoping for at this point in time in the game. And now Sam H going back afterwards for the going for the AC, I do believe. And this is the scary part. Like you talked about it, the Abyssal Blade is there to try and control the Brewmaster so he can't get all of the damage off. But if you're using your Abyssal on an Earth Panda Brewling, like that, it's so much gold invested into the item that's not being used to actually kill off heroes as well.
And now they have a lot of tools for control themselves. The Raven's got himself an Abyssal. The Hex actually came out on Tim's. I don't know if we jumped on that, but suddenly I keep on the light.
Yeah.
Sitting at 17,000 net worth and has himself 4 staff, Aghanims, Blink, Gem, and a Scythe of Ice. So a lot of potential control here, ways to actually start fights on their terms, and this is what TNC need if they want to close this one out.
Neat little play there. Went to the TP boots to the top lane to pressure it, and then immediately going to get recalled after the Tornado and Forge Spirit. So all of the lanes pushing now, and Coddle can do one last spam here. Should ensure that they are able to pressure bottom freely.
Yeah. I think they can just open with this Earth Spirit play. Like, it's a really good mechanic for when you're ahead in the game, because you can always follow it up with just a good fight if they commit too heavily to it.
Yeah. Oh, and actually the Alchemist isn't here either. So maybe a bit of a scary position to be in.
He'll always be just a click away, though, with the BOT level 2.
Maybe just waiting also for the next daytime could be the play. All right, no, there's going to go in. Sam H is there. They're hitting. They got the Alacrity. They lift up as well on the Juggernaut. And, well, maybe this is a little bit of a scary time. The right click's coming through, and they get the Abyssal. He's not going to be able to take down these barracks off the back of this.
Yeah, but they still committed so much to it. They got the glyph out of it. They got almost half the barracks. Yeah, it's like an 80-second cooldown. They can rinse and repeat. It takes a while, but they'll do it again. Up top, though,
Raven ends up getting a little bit too far forward.
Not sure about that one.
Oh my god, and now, well, the Hex is down there onto Centaur, but they need to get out. This could actually end up terribly for them. Geek fam in a decent position, and, well, might even be able to get the Burrow Strike out on top of Sam H to bring him back in.
He had no TP. It's in his backpack. He's actually going to swap over to the Cheese, try to blink out, but we've seen them cancel it multiple times. They will do so again with the Sandstorm, and that's going to be the death of the Brewmaster.
And Poker forced to just BKB and TP out, so from bad to worse. So they don't end up getting the melee barracks. They lose Slark in the top lane, and then they end up also losing the Brewmaster a second time there.
Yeah, I feel like Raven was just trying to go for something a little cheeky. Thought, okay, well, they have so much focus on the bottom lane. They're not going to be really scouting out, getting good detection up top, and he just gets caught off guard and doesn't even get to cast anything. Like, no BKB came out, just completely shut down, and Disruptor just has a lot of counterplay potential right now.
I guess that this is one of the things. You have a very farmed Coddle, but that also, he's the third most farmed hero on your team, but that also means you have a third most farmed hero on your team that's Coddle.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the Brewmaster. It's not these other heroes that actually are meant to go into the like crazy late game, and he provides a ton of utility, but what's sort of the backbone there? It's this Slark that if he gets picked off.
And I mean, I'm not even sure what items would enable the Brewmaster to do that much more. Of course, he'll want the Assault Cross, and then he wants level 25 to get the armor on his Brewling. But that's about it.
Now, Sand King running away a little piggy. He's going to get caught now and tries his BKB to get out of there.
He's actually fine.
Oh, Sunstrike? Already been used, I assume?
Yeah, I believe so. In either case, he's distracted up top where, yeah, they're just going to be able to close in really hard.
Tornado a little bit off the mark. Teehee, he's on top of Cuckoo right now. Pops the Shrine, so not going to have that for the rest of the engagement. The Sheepstick is available. Bottom lane.
Earth Spirit going in.
They're trying to make it happen. Not sure if it's going to be enough, though. Raven on top of that Juggernaut. He's spinning, but he should end up falling to this one if they can manage to string it together. Teehee pops his BKB as well. Cuckoo pops his. The Deafening Blast, again, not the greatest in the world. Bottom lane is still pushing in, and they're able to take down the melee barracks, trying to take out the mid-tier 3 as well. Fight is going to continue off to the side here as Disruptor dies. But that might be the extent of it.
The Earth Spirit just takes the entire bottom lane. The Brewmaster's just able to clean it up, no problem at all. And in their retreat, Geek Fam lose out up top as well. Sure, they take the melee racks in the top lane, and they still have that mid lane gone, but this is a real edge for TNC, with the Brewmaster just being able to do whatever he wants with this Earth Panda.
Well, buyback status is still there for the Centaur if he wants to get into this.
I mean, there's just no incentive. Like, you have to play so defensively at this stage of the game. Like, Geek Fam are forced into a defensive passive position. They are going to be waiting for TNC to make their move and make a mistake, like they did with Raven on the top lane. And I don't really feel like they have any more options than that until we get a lot more direct damage on the Alchemist. Like, this Radiance Manta Octarine build is great for pushing out lanes, but he's also got to have to backpack a couple of good physical damage items so that when the Brewmaster comes call-in, that they can actually answer back.
We did also end up getting an Aghanim Scepter completed on the Sand King, it's worth noting, so a couple of those bigger class items are up, but as you mentioned, that also does mean that we're not seeing those right-click damage dealing items for Teehee, who's going to get caught now. Force Staff, but the Bro Strike connects onto the Coddle. Another Force Staff from the CM, keeping this Coddle alive. Glimmer Cape, but yeah, they're on top of him. They found that kill. Top lane, it's going to be the Alacrity shenanigans.
There's no glyph.
There's nothing to stop this, and they get the lift up on the Jug as well. They are not going to have this melee barracks for long. Are probably going to be able to get the ranged as well, although they are controlling this Invoker for the moment. Pox with BKB decides to run. Could go in for the finish and maybe even another round of this if they want to throw Alacrity out. Over on the south side of the fight, Teehee trying to get something done for this team, but he can't lock down Raven. The long duration leash from that level 25 talent on Slark doing work, and well, Icewall a little bit off the mark over here in the north. They were finally able to bring down that Brewmaster, but Teehee left alone, he might be able to bring down Rior. That leash is just so frustrating to deal with, and Icewall to boot. It's a sad life right now for Teehee.
Rat Dota is alive and well here in Geek Fam versus TNC. It's going to be them trying to finish off.
What? He walked into the... Oh, he walked into the Sentry. Oh, no. That really hurts. I thought he was going to get out of there for a moment, and now Raven, they went back in only for one Tornado liftoff. He's going to end up dropping as well. TNC, you had this game. What's going on?
I mean, they had themselves in such a good position, and then they just end up losing two heroes. That Pounce will not get him away, and he doesn't have a BKB anymore. So he will... There's nowhere to run. There's nowhere to hide. This is an Aghanim Sandcake to burrow across the screen. And, yeah, they end up losing two core heroes. The question is whether Geek Fam can get down the mid lane fast enough to get buybacks out. They have to, right? Yeah. Because at this point, they're, again, purely on the defensive. You can see every time they're at the base are getting free buildings, are about to have mega creeps with one more attempt like that, and still buybacks on every member of TNC. So they need to go down mid. They need to get down to the bottom lane around. Oh, wait, the tier 2's still up. So they even have to change their attention to a backdoor protection tier 2. And while they're running in circles, time's taken down, and Invoker and Slark are respawning, which means they're not going to be punished for the critical errors they just made.
This is, I'm sure, infuriating for Geek Fam right now. You look at the kill score, you look at the way that this game has progressed, and the Brewmaster Invoker combination proving you don't even necessarily have to be in the lead. for it to end up working out. Geek Fam has been leading this entire game in net worth and in experience. It's just, you know, the Rat Dota 2. That's all you need.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in time when, like, Octarine Core was pretty recent, and the Agnum Scepter effect for Nature's Problem was at its strongest, where you just hit a critical mass where you're like, I have these items, and you don't have heroes to deal with it. Well, they don't have enough physical single target damage to deal with this Brewmaster strat, and it is this Rat Dota critical mass that you can see coming and you still can't deal with. But we're going to see a great double burrow, kinetic static, but they don't get him in it.
Oh,
He's
no.
able to slip out, gets out just long enough to pop his BKB, and then can't be glimpsed back in, and now they'll turn.
Well, another Tornado Meatball is going to be dropped. Definitely Blast as well. That is Disruptor very low. Not dead as of yet. Burrow Strike away before the Sunstrike comes. And it looks like with that BKB CM ulti, it is not going to actually do anything. So, ulti's down, but Geek Fam, I mean, they held off. They didn't end up pushing it. Now you've got another combination that can come out soon. Mana Leak now down onto that Centaur. He pops his BKB, turns to run and fight. They'll still be able to chase this for a little while. And
and they actually are going to get him.
He didn't TP right away. I guess that it was either coming out of his backpack or something.
Either way. He gets the missile either way. So he is guaranteed dead at that point. They have to fight it now. They'll try for a good stun combo, but...
Oh, he blinks out actually, but this is also going to be the Alchemist in some trouble, and well, maybe going to end up falling here on the south side. Velo's still out. Omni, well, it's going to be used now onto Raven, but it's not sure if it's going to be enough. They do take down one almost. No, Cuckoo, he's away on nothing. He ends up dying in the acid spray. The stun, Velo, who should have been dead a long time ago, possibly going to bring down Raven. They get the stun. The vision is going to be there as well. Triple kill. They all have buyback.
And there's going to be Crystal Man trying to run away on the northeastern front. He's actually able to juke it out well enough with the Glimmer Cape. And in fact, the Sand King doesn't have detection. But now, the buybacks that they weren't able to force out earlier are coming out. And it should be both Slark and Invoker here. So while they had 4 buybacks, they should be down to 2. And we'll see how this secondary fight breaks down.
54 minutes in the game, the definition of back and forth, and possibly going to be able to finish this one off in short order. Another Tornado, a little bit off the mark there. Nice 4th staff play by Velo. And with the buybacks, are you just comfortable taking it at that loss and say, we're going to... Yeah. I feel like it's so scary, though, because you have, like... still the possibility, even if you want to go and secure Roshan, that you can just backdoor and go in and take down the mid-tier 3 and get Mega'd.
So the problem that they're in right now is the game right now feels like kills don't mean anything, right? Like they're in a position where they could absolutely double the kill score of their opponents and it won't mean squat because their buildings just keep on dropping. But they did just force 2 buybacks. They're about to get Roshan, assuming that TNC don't just walk right in. And I think that's much more important than forcing the issue into the dire side. So if you could just control this pit area and focus on Rosh and could focus on getting this bottom lane pushed out, because that's been a menace. If you can just keep your lanes pushed out and keep your focus on Roshan, that's going to be the key objective. And they now know that if they kill Slark or Invoker, they can't come back into the fight, and that might be enough for them to tip the scales and close this one out for good.
The other thing that we got to keep in mind is that pretty much everybody on the Radiant is almost at that level 25, whereas TNC a little bit behind in terms of the experience that they've got. A couple of key ones we've already seen, the Slark Leash definitely being a factor. But Cuckoo, is he going to be the first one that they find? They instead, off the side, they canceled the TP of Cuckoo, and the Tornado going to lift up onto one. Tim's is already down. The chase is going to go through now, and Sam H pops his BKB, already has it gone in. The CM ulti, not sure if it's going to be enough, and well, it looks like off the back of this Teehee in some trouble. Maybe he's getting the regen. Static Storm Disruptor is not really doing that much either. Omni Flash now down, going to be able to connect onto Raven, but it's still not bringing him low enough. So nobody dead as of yet. The Burrow Strike through, trying to kill off Raven. There's 4 around him. Definitely blasting the pushback. The Blinding Light making a good work of all of it. They buy back on the Disruptor. He needs to get back into the spray. Raji trying to run away. Teehee out of mana, and now Raven's on top from Raven. A ton of Essence Shift about to be into his pocket. They do a buyback on the Alchemist, but this should secure them Roshan.
Absolutely. It may be the second heat of the group stage, but both these teams are playing like it's the grand finals here, and we do see that Raven is able to really take advantage of what his hero is capable of, which is just staying alive through the fights and continuing to build up Essence Shift as the team fights go on. Now they force the buyback out of the Disruptor, and it's just put them in this really awkward spot. We even have an Alchemist who bought Negative Scepter, and then like he didn't even have time to throw it onto somebody. He's just letting it sit in his backpack. So when Juggernaut gets that, he'll be very scary. But right now, it's TNC who take the fight. They take the Aegis, and I'm sure there's cheese, on the Brewmaster now.
So considering we're probably going to see another round of the, Earth Panda hitting the tower with alacrity, is this a team from Geek Fam that can hold off against Mega Creeps if they do happen to lose it at that point?
They definitely can, but it limits their options because they've already been dealing with creep waves constantly pushing against them. Tim's has been really good about that, and it's just going to make the situation worse that these Megas are so much tankier and are constantly auto-pushing. So in this position, they can hold, and they could make a Mega Creep comeback, but it makes it so much less likely because your options are limited and the golden experience that you gain from the waves is even less.
So I guess the idea here is they pop the brew split and going to go in for it is that they can't fully commit for this. If they lose a fight off the back of it, you might end up losing the game, even if you get Megas.
Yeah, they have to wait for the Alchemist.
All right, stun there onto Raven. Sionix, they're trying to take him down and kill off this Brew Panda. Alacrity is back onto him again, the lift up from him, and the Burrow Strike now down onto Keeper of the Light. All of the heals coming in from these Illuminates. The Tornado is going to lift up the Sand King. Already, the melees are down, and TNC playing it safe.
They don't get anything out of it.
They're just backing out.
Not a damn thing. It's going to be the melee Rex going down in mid. There's one building that cannot regenerate, and they're going for the fight.
All right, Omni Slash there, though. It's going to maybe be able to bring down the Invoker. If they can find that kill, that's a huge one. 2 minutes, no Invoker. Disruptor ulti is down as well. Reor is dead. That's Gem on the ground. They have the Epicenter on top of Raven. They're on top of it as well. Sionix, can they kill him off? There's still focus right here in the base. SamH trying to make it happen. It's not going to happen. Sionix, triple kill for him, and there is no buyback on the Invoker.
Why did they go back in? They could have just walked away with that, waited for the brew split again, and just walked over this game. And instead they commit. They think they've got an opportunity with the Tornado. They do it, and yet their 5-man is still weaker. Like, when it's a fair fight, no matter how long the fight could go, you just can't be certain about anything. We're going to see them jump on the Juggernaut here. Nice little Hex coming against him. He's going to be able to spin away, though, and now Rodkey's got his back. Nice Yule. Focus on the Coddle. It's going to be a kill here, and now Raven is out of options, has to BKB, and still, again, doesn't have a TP scroll.
I mean, he has the Aegis. They might just burn through it right here, honestly. He's getting chased down. Burrow Strike dead.
He's got Shadow Dance, he's got BKB.
He doesn't have a TP, though.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean,
oh, no, they stunned him. The right clicks, he's coming through. He tries to pounce away. TNC, what have you done? He's thrown it all away. They didn't even get Megas off of it. That was the thing. It's like you fully, in quotation marks, commit for the barracks, but you don't even get the Mega Creeps. And then you go back in a second time, and now Rapier is on the deck. Geek Fam have had enough. Well, it's time to party.
We're talking about single target physical DPS. We got the best item in the game for that, boys. And yeah, it's a tough situation because like if you BKB Shadow Dance, there's nothing in this game that will stop you from TPing away. But he has to have at least a TP in his backpack so they can throw in the slot after Aegis, and the BKB should allow him to escape. But instead, he's made 2 critical errors, one that wasn't punished, but this one very well maybe, as they're going for the throne.
Geek Fam, in spite of all of the craziness.
Radiant base, the Brewmaster will be able to take down the range racks. That is Mega Creeps, but at what cost if this is going to be the game decider right here?
70 seconds, no Slark. They need to finish it off somehow. Maybe Invoker ends up TPing down there and tries to throw the Alacrity on, but not sure if it's going to end up being enough. They're hitting away. Hex now onto the Alchemist. Brewmaster, he is not going to be able to do damage in the bottom lane, and they have their eyes on the prize. BKB is popped. He wants to finish this one off to the best of his abilities. They have that Disruptor ulti down on top of one, but he continues his spree, and, well, the Frostbite, they're taking it away. Can they somehow hold on to this? The blinding right
Slark
push
back in 5 seconds. Slark can buy back here. If he can just get in, they need a little bit more control.
All right, he buys back. No, get in there. It's going to happen. Geek Fam are going to